Hello, this is a Bosendorfer Imperial grand piano. It's 290 centimeters long, 9'6", and so it's one of the longest pianos ever made. And we've had 3 of these altogether. Not that common really, but we're really grateful when we can find them. It's one of my favourite instruments, and zeroing in on the keys here. Just want to see it's in stock and want to see what sort of work needs doing on it. I've tuned it already and just generally assessed it. It's pretty perfect, I think, but these are ivory keys, one piece ivory, so there's no join here as there is in older, normally in ivories, but in 1972 when this was made, then it's quite common for Bosendorfer to put one piece ivory. And the casework, it's been used in a concert hall, in the younger hall in St Andrews University, and they're redoing the younger hall, and are going to put a smaller piano in apparently. But this piano has been used for concerts up until then, the main concert hall in the university, and has served very well and has been maintained perfectly, as we'll see in a minute. Just looking at the soundboard, it's perfect as you expect, and the frame, it's a very long piano, so you can see. So let's have a look at the back of the piano. Inside, the strings here, they're wonderful strings. Bosendorfer strings are some of the best, really, obviously, because it's one of the best makes in the world. Everything's perfect. There's no defect in it at all that I've managed to find. The bridge is perfect. I've tuned it today, and really the tuning pins are very tight. I've spoken to the tuner about the piano, and he says it's very, very stable indeed. So that's encouraging, really. And it was at just above A440, so had to do very, very little, just a few unisons, very, very mildly out. So that's very encouraging as well. Let's have a look at the bass strings down here, because this is typical Bosendorfer bass strings, and they're finished off in a way that's characteristic just of them. If you have a look at the way they finish this string off, it kind of like got slightly bulbous at the end there. There's one slightly different one here, so very early on I would say, because the colour is identical. They had a problem with this string. These are very, very low string. The piano's got 97 keys, and we'll listen to it in a second. Before we do, I just want to look at the rest of the case, because there is one factor on here. If you're interested in the piano, the hall had put, or university had put this on the side so it could be stored at its side without damaging the case. But if it's used again in a concert venue, you might want to leave that on, because it's quite useful. If we're going to repolish the piano, obviously we're going to take this off and do it perfectly. The piano is in generally quite good condition. If we don't decide to fully repolish the piano, then we can just do polyester repairs. There's one at the back here. Sorry, it's a little bit dusty and dirty because it's just come in. I haven't really cleaned it at all. We could obviously improve the polyester ourselves, and in fact this little dent at the back here, that's not going to be a problem to make good, and you might just about be able to see it afterwards, but we can do a polyester repair on that. And the back of the piano is pretty perfect. So generally it's obviously cosmetically not sort of thing perhaps you'd want domestically. I forgot to mention that it's got old style A-frame on it, which is the strongest of the A-frames really. Nowadays they tend to put dollies round each leg, which means you haven't got a frame in between them. That's cosmetically nicer, obviously, and you can lift it out of those. But this is fixed on, which makes it sort of more robust in a way. We'd have to fit new castors on here if we're going to do, if we're going to repolish, we probably would, and then do the modern fitting. So that's possible. And if you're interested in the piano, obviously, if we do less work, then the price will come down as well. So we're just going to listen to the piano now. So in the middle, just has a very lush sound. It's got a very big soundboard because of the extra keys as well. Very pure sounding piano. And beautiful bass. Now, as you can see, there's a flap here which we can lift up, and that reveals the other keys. The reason there's a flap is because people can get disorientated and not find bottom A if the other keys here are there, and can get a bit confusing. Very often these are painted over in black, or there's a flap. There's a possibility of doing both. You could paint them over, or take the flap off and just paint them over. I've sold a few of the 94 key pianos, which goes down to here, so that's going down to F. That's 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, sorry, I thought that was wrong. This is 97, this is down to C. Let's listen to them going down the octaves. So down to A, then this is going below normal piano. And that's fine in the octave. It begins to get slightly less distinct. It's very, very difficult to tune these bottom notes. In fact, if you're a tuner and tune these regularly, I'd love to hear your opinion on how to do it. As I say, we have had 2 others before, and really love these pianos. If you listen to that, that's about 17 beats a second, so it sounds more like a bell than a note. Very bell-like. So in the octave, it really does sound beautiful. And of course these strings, if you lift the dampers, they're reverberating when you play a chord like... These strings are also reverberating, so I can feel them vibrating. So it deepens the whole sound of the piano. Now looking at the action, this is a Renner action put in Bosendorfers today as well. And the hammers are Bosendorfer style hammers, but they've been replaced. These are mahogany hammers, so the touch is slightly lighter. It's actually 49 grams, so not normal would be about 51. And the up weight is very, very low, so that's very encouraging. It does feel beautiful to play. You can see these hammers have had a little bit of wear since they've been put on, not a huge amount. Apparently this was 5 years ago when this was done, according to a piano tuner, and they've been very well voiced. You can see these needle marks here. When they're voiced on the shoulders, it's a good sign, because you know that a serious technician's been voicing them. And in fact, I believe that I'm told that it's one of the nation's top Bosendorfer experts who's done this work. So that's very encouraging too. If we check this, it's checks very lightly, and when release the back check by lifting the key slightly, you can see the spring making them go up. It's so well regulated actually. We're going to try and improve it. Obviously we try to improve all pianos that come into stock, but it is so good already, and very encouraged by the whole piano really. And if you look here, this is a very good sign. The person who's reconditioned it has used a lot of French chalk or talc, possibly Teflon powder, which is dry lubricant, and it makes it really smooth playing here, so the jack comes out beautifully smoothly, and that gives an incredibly smooth feel to it. So really, it's one of the very best pianos we've ever had, I think. That's the Bosendorfer Imperial grand piano, made in 1972, 290 centimeters long. That's 9'6" long, and we're really grateful to get this piano into stock. We've had 2 Imperials before. We've had some 94 key pianos as well, sorry, 92 key, and this is 97 key. So it goes right down to bottom C. Now the bottom note on its own doesn't sound very much like a note, it's more like a bell, but played in the octave it really strengthens it, and the extra strings do reverberate with the rest of the notes that you play, so you're getting a beautiful, rich sound. The touch on this piano is second to none really. It's as good as any piano we've ever had. Very responsive indeed. Very, very stable piano. Now cosmetically we can repolish the piano. It's currently got an A-frame, it's been used in a concert venue. If you want to keep the A-frame, you want to keep the piano as it is, and just for us to tidy up the case, then obviously it'll be less than the price that was shown on our website. You can just decide what you'd like doing, then we can calculate how much we need to sell it for. The piano speaks for itself really. I really recommend trying it out if you're interested in a concert piano and you've got a venue to put it in. This piano is as good as any you'll get, and hardly any different from a brand new one. I'm confident to say that it'll last for extremely long time, and it's a very stable piano. The tuner who's been tuning it tells me it's extremely stable, and when it arrived it was at concert pitch, 1 beat above in fact, which is ideal, and I hardly had to do any tuning. It plays melodies so beautifully. It's in our storage area at the moment, as I say, waiting to decide what we're going to do. Normally, if it's a big piano like this, we've got a church venue that we put pianos into, and that's where it will go to after we've repolished the piano. That's our it'll be a normal course of action, but it's equally possible that somebody will be interested in the piano before it gets there. So if you are interested and you'd like to buy the piano, or you're interested in one, and maybe one for the future, maybe this one's been sold and you'd like us to look for one for you, we'd really be very happy to do that, because we just love these pianos. Thank you very much for listening.